Hi everyone, my name is Gary. I'm one of the partners in the venture arm of the Bosch Group, and I'll have the honor of leading the panel today together with Hadar, Andrea, and Klaus. And we are going to focus on how Israeli startups can better work with German Mittelstand, middle-sized companies and corporates. And we will try to do this more of a conversation and questions and answers rather than lecture. So please feel free, and we'll assign some time in the end to ask questions. But we'd like to start perhaps with a presentation, each of the panel members on themselves and the organizations they're with. And from then we'll dive into some questions. So Hadar, if you want to go first.
Sure, happy to, and happy to be here. Can you hear me? Well, I'm the managing director of Porsche Digital in Israel. We have a team of 15 people. We have 3 core activities. The first one is an open innovation platform where we seek and scout strategic companies that could be relevant for Porsche on a very wide area of topics, not only mobility. This is maybe the paradigm that people have towards us, but I want to change that. So we're looking into anything that could change the company. It can be production related, it can be retail related, anything that has any aspect of relevance to us. We've conducted over the past 5.5 years over 70 projects. We look really to convert and to deploy solutions. We interact with with dozens of business units and departments from Porsche AG, the parent company. We also have CVC, so we're part locally and globally of Porsche Ventures. We invest from 5 different locations, from Germany, US, China, Israel, and Luxembourg. We invest both in startups and VCs. Globally, we invested in 60 startups and a bunch of funds. Locally, we invested so far in 6 startups and 4 funds. 2 have already exited. We're looking into A and B, but also pre-A stage companies in 4 different topics or focus areas. One is mobility, obviously, so smart mobility. Second is intelligent enterprise, anything that could somehow enhance our company. Third is sustainability, which is a huge and new focus topics for us. And 4th is beyond, anything that could be in the future strategic for us. These are the main topics. And last but not least, a year and a half ago, we have launched our new R&D activity. So locally, we focus at the moment in cybersecurity, IT and OT, but also looking into other phases. And the team in the past year and even the last few months have really grown significantly. So throughout the last challenging months, we've been backed, and we received a lot of support from the mothership. But we're here, and we're here to grow, and happy to interact with any of you.
Thanks, Hadar. Andrea?
Hi, I'm Andrea, and I'm running the office of the Helmholtz Association of German Research Centers. So basically, it's the largest research organization in Germany. We represent 18 research centers. And also, I'm representing our so-called Association of medium-sized companies in Germany, here in Israel. So I'm wearing 2 hats.
Yeah, we'll take at least one of them and dive into them later. Klaus, on video, if you can hear us and tell us a bit about yourself.
I can do, and first of all, sorry for not being in Tel Aviv. I said it before, it was planned, unfortunately had to cancel it at very short notice. Nevertheless, happy to be here, at least on screen. So introducing myself, I would say I have 3 roles. The first one, over the last 5.5 years, I've tried to help Israeli startups, above all in the field of fintech and insurtech, to enter the German and the European market with a lot of programs. And out of this came already quite a lot of corporations. My 2 other roles are, on the one hand, I'm the chairman of the board of the InsurTech Hub Munich, which is a hub that brings together startups from around the world German incumbents in the insurance industry, mid-sized ones to really big ones, and the entire area of tech partners and universities. So that's my second role. And the third role is that at Allianz, one of the largest insurance companies in the world, I'm in charge of strategic digital projects ranging from tech topics to business model, and at the same time, for the German market, I'm in charge of some of the legal and regulatory aspects of the business. And I'm really happy to be here and share some insights and learn from you.
Maybe the first question to you, Klaus, from your experience with working with Israeli companies, are the most important topics a company needs to prepare and be ready for when going and starting to try and work with German companies?
Mm-hmm. I would say that there are two topics where Israel.
Okay, we're beaten by technology.
Everything about. Excuse me.
You got cut off for a few seconds, so if you can backtrack 30 seconds and start again.
Okay, Israeli startups are quite strong when it comes on the one hand to technology and on the other hand really being hands-on and really solving problems. And I think there's when I see Israeli startups joining talks with German corporates, they have a lot of energy and really they want to start the very next moment. On the other hand, I think it is necessary to understand the real business models of these corporates. And this would be one of my takeaways. Don't jump to conclusion. Don't think that the technology in itself is already the solution. So take some time really to understand, for example, when it comes to digital sales, understand the real customer journeys, understand not only the regulatory framework, but what people are doing exactly, and take some time to listen. Sounds quite easy, but that's not that easy. So when we at the InsurTech Hub Munich prepare startups from Israel for talks and we do a lot of matchmaking with German, Austrian, Swiss insurance companies, first of all, we really say, take some time, listen to your partners, what exactly they are doing, because in these huge corporations, it's a difference either when you're in charge of, let's say, claims handling compared to digital sales. So you really need the time to understand what your partner is doing, where your software and IT solution fits into this journey.
Thank you. Andrea, is there any difference or special emphasis when it comes to middle-sized companies versus large corporates? Because at least three of us on the panel here are working for large ones, but Mittelstand companies are a bit different.
Yes, so I think in large companies you obviously have specified departments. You know what your problem is, what you're looking out for. So in our medium-sized companies, or so-called Mittelstand, most of the companies, they can't even address what the problem is. They're not really familiar with working with startup companies, and so there is the first culture clash. And then obviously when it comes to working with international startups and also Israeli ones, and we talked about the culture clash beforehand, that's a challenge. So this is something most of the companies do not really acknowledge beforehand. But this is something which is very important in the process.
Got it. Hadar, any do's and don'ts when it comes to working with German companies from your experience?
Sure. So after 5.5 years, and we have a lot of experience, I wrote I wrote a bunch of
a lot of do's and even more don'ts.
A lot of do's and a lot of don'ts. So I think one topic that Israelis are very good at, and also we should distinguish discussions that we have with U.S. corporates and how U.S. clients love to interact and how they get excited about a potential company, and how the dialogue should be different to a German entity. So Germans really want companies to be direct, to be accurate, and not to sell a dream. So the great storytelling that a US potential client would love with a lot of buzzwords and great slides, it would not stick with a German entity. Germans really want you to not oversell and really don't, so basically don't overpromise and underdeliver. So if you have a use case that is working but three that don't present that you have 4 use cases, because the truth will come out quite often. So immediately after a successful presentation, there will be a subsequent demo. If the demo is not as exactly how you described as it should be, a second meeting would not necessarily be feasible. So try to be as accurate as you can. Try to really listen, I think, is critical. We come and occasionally see companies presenting the same generic pitch and really not realizing who they talk to. So really try to tailor your solution or your offering to the client. Try to understand who you're talking to and what their aspiration is. Also try to set expectations. So define together what is a successful demo or what is a successful project. Because if you envision a certain successful result, maybe it's not exactly how the other party is envisioning the success. And try to speak as regularly as possible and raise flags. If there are any red flags or any problems, try to articulate them as soon as possible. Don't wait until, I don't know, midway or at the end of the timeline that you prepared, and then everybody comes and say, okay, I was not satisfied with this or with that. Try to really, as soon as you come to a misalignment, misunderstanding, problems, try to talk about it and solve it out. I think these are like the most critical elements. When it comes to multinationals or corporates, there are a lot of issues that you should consider. Don't really run and say the minute you get maybe a meeting, come to that meeting. Try to realize if this is the best timing for you. So sometimes if you're not as prepared, maybe wait a bit, because companies are not necessarily as flexible and would not, if the product is not as mature, would not meet with you again. So sometimes also the art of us as sort of like innovation scouts or even investors that want to connect with the business units is to really find the best timing to introduce a certain company or a certain technology to the business owners. So this is, I think, a critical element. Other than that, don't say yes to any engagement, because there are certain corporates that can kill your time and you can waste multiple hours talking to hundreds sometimes of people or business units, and at the end of the day nothing will happen. So really try to understand if your thoughts and your ideas and your Northern Star is aligned with your potential client, and don't say yes because it's a big brand. If after several meetings you're really very positive that there is an alignment, then continue, but be very critical and don't just sell because it's a big company.
Maybe I can add a few words from my experience. First of all, I think to Hadar's point, we need to remember that the attitude to failure in Germany is not the same as in Israel. So we see failure as sometimes a learning experience, an asset. It's okay. In certain and not a few German companies, failure is not considered a good thing. And if you fail, you don't necessarily get a second chance. Just to reinforce Hadar's point. The second point, again, from our experience, in many cases, if you talk only to the innovation guys in a company, it's not enough. Because innovation guys they have the task of dealing with external parties, but it doesn't mean necessarily that you're getting into the hearts and bones and nooks and crannies of the organization, and that's very important. So you need to make sure you're talking to the relevant people within a company. Anything you'd like to add, Andrea?
Yes, I think early on we just mentioned, I think Andreas from Baden-Württemberg International, is that there are so many companies, and you really have to, within our association, for instance, it's like, you have the like a guy who's running the region, then you have a guy who's running a city, then you have, there's so many people, and they are looking after a certain amount of companies. So you really have to narrow them down and really, it's like a whole different approach than with a big corporation. And then also, talk to people and again, address the problem and then kind of connect them. But it's, I think we brought like a number of Israeli startups over last September. And so we identified a couple of companies beforehand. But again, and there was the culture clash also of them, approaching them, sending emails, asking, what was going on, and there was no reply. So you also need those people supporting it from the respective company.
We have about
one topic. I would say everything that has been mentioned is so true, and above all, what you said, that you can lose unbelievable much time when you deal only with the innovation teams or the wrong people inside a company. On the other hand, I think there are two positive messages. The one is really that the German-speaking countries are a huge market, and still with all the problems, it's really, these are big markets and a lot of world-class companies, and that's worthwhile entering these markets. And the second topic is really there's enough help at hand. On the one hand, really starting with the trade missions from the Israeli government. For example, in Munich, we have a wonderful trade mission that really helps and supports a lot of Israeli startups. On the other hand, it's there for almost every industry. For example, in Germany, there's a hub like the InsurTech Hub Munich, which I represent, that really gives you, on the one hand, a lot of education for free. Really tells you we are just dealing with, from the cultural clash to whom to talk to navigate inside companies and whom to talk to. I think that's quite helpful. On the other hand, these hubs normally have a very good access to public funding funds. They have access to local VCs. So do not hesitate really to use these help which is at hand to enter these big markets. And I think we have seen a lot over the last 5-6 years at the InsurTech Hub Munich, for example, quite a lot of interesting companies, startups from Israel who went this way. And for example, with the help of the InsurTech Hub Munich, went out with up to 10 contracts within 1 year. And these are real contracts, not MVPs, not talks. It's really a signed contract and a project that can be implemented. But take away from all of them, if you would talk to these Israeli startups, is really be prepared and understand and navigate the way through these companies and use the help of people that are there to help you.
Indeed. We have about 2.5 minutes-ish for questions. So is there anyone in the audience who wants to ask something, say something, tell us a story about their experience? I see everyone is happy and doing well with working with German companies. So if that's the case, maybe Hadar, if you can tell us one of your maybe positive or negative stories that we can all learn from about cooperation with German companies.
I don't know, should I? So there was one funny story earlier on, I think it was back in 2019. We were bringing a bunch of top management, and one of the startups that really wanted to make a great demo was trying to ensure that the software is most up-to-date, and they ran an update to the software. And it was really moments before the demo, and not happy for them. The demo failed because of that, and that was not the best thing to do, just to run a software update moments before you really meet with the C-suite of a multinational, of OEM. But on the contrary, there are a lot of great companies, Israeli companies, that we see that scale and also scale within the entire Volkswagen group. So we are part of a group of 12 brands that is among the biggest in the world, and we see great innovation and technologies coming from Israel, and we see Israeli founders being very resilient. So as founders that are going through very difficult times, continue to hustle, continue to stay strong, and to stay close to great allies like German entities and the German government. And let's Let's keep it up.
I would like to add a success story. So I mentioned those 6 startups who came over in September, and 2 of them are actually expanding to going to expand to Germany. And one of them, we brought them to Baden-Württemberg, and they started talking and negotiating with the Schwarz Group, which is Lidl, which is a very large also employer in Germany. And it's been taking a while, but they pretty close to nailing down the deal. So it's yeah. So if you're interested, you should definitely go for it.
Okay, thank you very much, Adar, Andrea, and Klaus, and thank
Thank
you
you.
all, and see you around.